There are moments in life when love does not arrive as repetition, but as revelation. You may believe you have already known love, its warmth, its chaos, its longing, yet what is approaching you now carries a different frequency. It feels almost fated, as though something unseen has been preparing both of you in silence. A younger person is about to enter your life not by accident, but by psychological and spiritual alignment. This is not about age in years, it is about energy, about renewal. Youth symbolizes possibility, curiosity, and emotional courage. And what draws this person towards you is not surface attraction, not convenience, not temporary fascination. It is your depth. You have lived. You have endured disappointment, confusion, betrayal, and growth. You have walked through shadows and met parts of yourself you once feared. That inner work has created a quiet magnetism. Younger souls are often searching for authenticity in a world of performance. When they encounter someone who is comfortable with their own complexity, it feels like finding solid ground after drifting. This love will feel different because it will awaken parts of you that have been dormant. You may find yourself laughing more freely, dreaming more boldly, feeling seen in ways that surprise you. Their admiration will not feel superficial. It will feel like recognition. They will look at you as if they have discovered something rare, not because you are perfect, but because you are real. There is also a psychological truth unfolding here. Often, the younger person sees in you what they are becoming. You represent integration, strength balanced with vulnerability, wisdom softened by compassion. In loving you, they are loving their future self. And in loving them, you reconnect with your forgotten spontaneity, your playful spirit, your capacity to begin again. But this connection will ask something of you. It will require you to release outdated beliefs about love. Beliefs that say passion fades, that excitement belongs only to youth, that deep bonds must always be heavy. This love may feel light, yet profound. It may challenge your expectations. It may ask you to trust. Angels, if we use that word symbolically, represent higher awareness. They do not interfere, they illuminate. What is being illuminated now is your readiness. You are no longer seeking validation. You are no longer chasing attention. You are prepared for reciprocity. When this younger soul approaches you, you may hesitate, you may question the difference, the timing, the practicality. Yet the heart does not calculate the way the ego does. It responds to resonance. And resonance does not measure years, it measures truth. This love will not mirror your past. It will not repeat old wounds unless you invite them back. Instead, it offers renewal, a reminder that growth is not linear and that love can arrive in forms you never predicted. It will feel unfamiliar, perhaps even unsettling at first because it does not match your old narratives. Allow yourself to experience it without immediately defining it. Let curiosity replace fear. Let presence replace overthinking. You have done enough inner work to recognize what is healthy. Trust that what is coming toward you is not simply a younger person. It is a reflection of your own rebirth. And when you meet them, you may realize that love was never about age, but about awakening. Love, when it truly transforms you, does not arrive as an echo of what has already been. It does not repeat old conversations, replay familiar disappointments, or reawaken the same emotional patterns disguised in new faces. Real renewal feels unfamiliar at first because it does not follow the script your past has written. It interrupts cycles. It breaks the rhythm of repetition. And in that interruption, something new begins. Many people unknowingly seek what they already know. The psyche is drawn to familiarity, even when familiarity once caused pain. We are tempted to choose partners who resemble unresolved chapters of our history, hoping this time the ending will change. Yet repetition rarely brings healing. It only reinforces what has not yet been understood. Renewal, on the other hand, requires awareness. It demands that you step outside the gravitational pull of your past and recognize when something different stands before you. When love comes as renewal, it feels lighter, not because it lacks depth, but because it is not burdened by projection. You are no longer trying to repair old wounds through another person. You are no longer asking someone new to compensate for what someone else failed to give. Instead, you meet them as they are. And more importantly, you meet yourself as you are. Changed, wiser, more integrated. Renewal in love is deeply connected to inner growth. If you have confronted your shadows, acknowledged your fears, and taken responsibility for your emotional patterns, You become capable of experiencing something unfamiliar without sabotaging it. You begin to recognize that not every silence means abandonment, not every disagreement means rejection, and not every intense emotion signals danger. This shift allows love to unfold without being forced into old shapes. There is also a quiet courage in accepting renewal. It asks you to trust that life does not intend to trap you in repetition. It asks you to believe that growth has meaning. When you allow yourself to experience love without comparing it to what came before, you create space for surprise. You stop measuring new affection against old memories. You stop anticipating inevitable endings. In this way, love becomes a reflection of evolution. It mirrors who you are becoming rather than who you once were. And when love ceases to be repetition, it transforms into something far more powerful, a continuation of your inner rebirth, expressed through connection. Attraction to depth and authenticity is not loud. It does not announce itself through dramatic gestures or exaggerated passion. It emerges quietly, almost invisibly, when someone recognizes something real in you that the world often overlooks. In a culture that rewards performance, filters, and carefully constructed personas, depth feels rare. And what is rare becomes magnetic. Depth is born from experience. It is shaped by moments of solitude, by disappointments that forced reflection, by questions that did not have easy answers. When you have faced your own contradictions and accepted them, you carry a grounded presence. You no longer rush to impress. You no longer mold yourself to fit expectations. This stability creates a subtle gravitational pull. People who are searching for something meaningful sense it immediately. Authenticity strengthens this attraction. Authenticity is not about revealing everything or speaking without restraint. It is about alignment. Your words match your actions. Your emotions are not exaggerated for effect, nor suppressed for approval. There is coherence between your inner world and your outer behavior. This coherence creates trust before trust is even consciously formed. Others feel safe around someone who is not pretending. Younger individuals, especially, are often navigating a world filled with comparison and social pressure. They are surrounded by curated identities and fleeting attention. When they encounter someone who is comfortable in their own complexity, it feels stabilizing. Depth offers what superficial charm cannot. Substance. It invites conversation that goes beyond surface details. It creates space for vulnerability without judgment. Psychologically, attraction to depth can also reflect aspiration. When someone sees emotional maturity embodied in another person, it activates their own desire to grow. They may not fully understand why they feel drawn to you, but they sense that being near you encourages expansion rather than insecurity. Your calmness does not diminish them, it strengthens them. Your self-awareness does not intimidate, it inspires. Authenticity also disrupts illusion. It allows both people to relate as they truly are, not as they wish to be perceived. This eliminates the exhausting effort of maintaining a mask. When attraction is rooted in what is genuine, it tends to feel steady rather than chaotic. It is less about adrenaline and more about resonance. In this way, depth and authenticity create a connection that feels grounded and expansive at the same time. It is not built on fantasy, but on recognition. And recognition, when it is mutual and sincere, forms the foundation for a bond that is both transformative and enduring. Mutual psychological growth is one of the most powerful yet subtle dimensions of a meaningful connection. It is not simply about two people enjoying each other's presence. It is about two inner worlds influencing, expanding, and refining one another over time. When growth is mutual, the relationship becomes a living process rather than a fixed structure. Both individuals are changed by it. Every person carries an unfinished story within them. Unresolved fears, unexpressed talents, unexamined beliefs. When two people meet in a space of awareness, these inner elements begin to surface, not as conflict alone, but as opportunity. One person's strength may illuminate the other's insecurity. One person's vulnerability may soften the other's defenses. In this exchange, psychological evolution quietly unfolds. Often growth begins with reflection. You see aspects of yourself mirrored in the other person. Sometimes qualities you admire, sometimes traits you have avoided confronting. This mirroring is not accidental. It activates self-awareness. When you feel understood, you are encouraged to express more of who you are. When you feel challenged in a supportive way, you are motivated to examine your limitations without shame. In relationships marked by mutual growth, There is space for individuality. Neither person seeks to dominate or reshape the other into a preferred image. Instead, there is encouragement. Growth is not forced, it is inspired. You may find yourself becoming more patient because the other person values calm communication. You may discover courage because they believe in your potential. These changes do not feel like sacrifices, they feel like expansions. Psychologically, this type of connection strengthens emotional resilience. You learn to navigate differences without collapsing into fear. You practice honesty without aggression. You become aware of your patterns and take responsibility for them. Over time, this shared awareness builds maturity. The relationship evolves as each person evolves. Mutual growth also prevents stagnation. When two people commit to self-reflection, they avoid becoming trapped in rigid roles. They remain curious about each other. They allow room for transformation. Instead of clinging to who the other person was at the beginning, they embrace who they are becoming. In this way, love becomes a dynamic force. It does not confine, it develops. It does not freeze identity, it refines it. And when both individuals are willing to grow, the connection deepens not because it remains the same, but because it continuously expands alongside their evolving selves. When we speak of angels, we are not necessarily referring to winged beings descending from the sky. Symbolically, angels represent heightened awareness, guidance from the deeper layers of the psyche, and moments of clarity that feel as though they come from beyond ordinary thought. They are images the human mind uses to describe intuition, synchronicity, and the quiet sense that life is unfolding with hidden meaning. Throughout history, angels have appeared in dreams, myths, and spiritual traditions as messengers. A messenger stands between worlds, the visible and the invisible, the conscious and the unconscious. In psychological terms, this can represent insight emerging from within. There are moments when you suddenly understand something without logical analysis. You feel directed, warned, or reassured without external evidence. Calling this experience angelic gives language to the mystery of inner knowing. The symbolic angel often appears during transition. When you are leaving one phase of life and entering another, uncertainty naturally arises. The mind searches for reassurance. The image of an angel can embody trust in the process. It suggests that growth is not random chaos, but part of a larger pattern. Even if you cannot see the full design, you sense that events are aligning in ways that serve your evolution. Angels also symbolize protection, not in the sense of shielding you from all pain, but in guiding you toward awareness. Sometimes protection comes as discomfort, a nudge away from what is harmful, a quiet resistance when something is not right. At other times, it comes as encouragement, a feeling of peace when you make a choice aligned with your deeper truth. These experiences feel external, yet they arise from your integrated inner self. In relationships, invoking angels can symbolize readiness. It reflects the idea that when you have done the inner work, faced your fears, healed old wounds, clarified your values, you become receptive to connections that resonate on a higher level. The angel is not arranging your life, it is illuminating what you are prepared to recognize. Thus, angels serve as metaphors for consciousness expanding beyond fear. They represent intuition guiding you toward growth, alignment, and transformation. When you feel guided, supported, or mysteriously aligned with unfolding events, you are encountering the symbolic angel within, the voice of awareness that leads you toward deeper meaning and authentic connection. To experience a love that feels new, you must be willing to question what you have long believed about love itself. Many of our ideas about relationships were formed in moments of vulnerability, after heartbreak, during loneliness, or while observing unhealthy models around us. Over time, these experiences solidify into quiet rules. Love is painful, love requires sacrifice, passion inevitably fades, or stability must feel boring. These beliefs operate beneath awareness, shaping expectations before a new connection even begins. Challenging old beliefs is uncomfortable because they once protected you. If you convince yourself that love always disappoints, you are less likely to risk hope. If you decided that intensity equals devotion, you learn to interpret emotional chaos as proof of importance. These interpretations may have helped you survive certain chapters, but survival is not the same as growth. What once kept you safe can later keep you confined. When a different kind of love appears, calm instead of chaotic, consistent instead of unpredictable, it may initially feel unfamiliar or even suspicious. You might search for hidden flaws waiting for the inevitable shift. This reaction is not intuition, it is conditioning. The mind prefers what it recognizes, even if what it recognizes caused pain. To accept healthier love, you must allow yourself to feel something that does not match your old narrative. There is also the belief that love must follow a specific structure, a certain age difference, a specific timeline, a predefined set of roles. When reality challenges these expectations, resistance arises. Yet genuine connection does not always conform to inherited templates. It asks you to evaluate the quality of the bond rather than its appearance. Are you respected? Are you growing? Are you at peace? These questions matter more than whether the relationship fits a familiar script. Releasing outdated beliefs requires reflection. You begin to ask where your ideas originated and whether they still serve you. You notice patterns you have repeated and consider alternative interpretations. Slowly, rigidity softens. Love becomes less about proving old assumptions correct and more about experiencing what is present. In this process, you reclaim freedom. You are no longer bound to reenact the past. You allow love to redefine itself through lived experience rather than inherited fear. And as your beliefs evolve, your capacity to receive something deeper and more authentic expands alongside them. Love as awakening is not merely the excitement of meeting someone new, it is the stirring of parts of yourself that had fallen asleep. It is the sudden awareness that you have been moving through life on partial consciousness, repeating routines, guarding your heart, managing expectations, and then something shifts. A connection enters your life and gently disrupts the familiar rhythm. You begin to feel more alert, more present, more alive. Awakening in love often begins internally. You notice thoughts becoming clearer. Emotions you once suppressed start surfacing with honesty. You recognize fears not as enemies but as signals pointing toward unresolved experiences. Rather than losing yourself in another person, you start discovering yourself through them. Their presence acts as a mirror, reflecting strengths you underestimated and wounds you avoided confronting. There is a paradox in this kind of love. It feels expansive, yet grounding. It inspires you to grow, yet it also encourages acceptance. You may find yourself wanting to become more patient, more courageous, more authentic, not because you are pressured to change, but because something within you desires alignment. Awakening is not about transformation for approval, it is about transformation for wholeness. Psychologically, love as awakening activates integration. The parts of you that were fragmented, the rational and emotional, the strong and vulnerable, begin to coexist more harmoniously. You no longer feel the need to present only one side of yourself. In the presence of genuine connection, complexity becomes safe. This safety allows hidden aspects of your personality to emerge without shame. Awakening also shifts perception. You begin to see relationships not as transactions of need, but as shared journeys of awareness. Instead of asking, what can I gain? You start asking, who am I becoming through this? The focus moves from possession to evolution. Love becomes less about securing permanence and more about deepening consciousness. Such awakening can feel unsettling because it dissolves illusions. It challenges the ego's desire for control. Yet within that vulnerability lies clarity. You recognize that love is not meant to complete you, but to reveal you. It uncovers dormant potential and reminds you that growth does not end with maturity. In this way, love becomes a doorway, not an escape from yourself, but an entrance into a fuller experience of who you truly are becoming. And so, if you feel something shifting within you, a quiet anticipation, a sense that life is preparing to surprise you, do not dismiss it. Not every change announces itself with noise. Some transformations arrive softly, like a whisper carried through your own intuition. If a younger soul steps into your life and looks at you with recognition rather than curiosity, do not rush to measure the difference. Measure instead the depth. Notice how you feel in their presence. Notice whether you are shrinking to fit old fears or expanding into new awareness. True connection will not demand that you abandon yourself. It will invite you to become more fully who you are. Remember, this is not about age. It is about energy. It's about the meeting of two timelines at the precise moment both are ready to evolve. You have walked through enough experiences to know the weight of illusion. What approaches you now carries the possibility of sincerity, growth, and awakening. Trust the work you have done on yourself. Trust the wisdom you earned through reflection. If love comes in a form you did not expect, Perhaps it is because you are no longer the person who once expected less. Let this be the chapter where you choose openness over fear, curiosity over doubt, and presence over projection. What is unfolding is not random. It is aligned with the person you are becoming. And when love finally stands before you, unfamiliar, alive, and deeply transformative, meet it not with hesitation, but with awareness. For this time, love is not here to repeat your past. It is here to awaken your future.